We are officially out of the major buy rounds for NRL Fantasy, and we're now out of the multi-buy rounds as well. So welcome back, guys. Talking about full teams, NRL Fantasy going forward. This is the last round where you have a starting 13 only. And I'll tell you what, bit of a mixed bag this week. 722 was the average score this round. Personally, had a good week. I pumped out just under 800 points, so I moved up the ranks quite a bit. But if you look at this here, I'll just show you most coaches, Captain Terrell May, so 95% Captain Terrell May. Most coaches use sort of one or two trades there. And the trades here, most popular trade-ins, Connor Watson was the big one, Isaiah Yeo, Talon De Silva, then Gus Crichton, Campbell, Fletcher Hunt, Bo Firma, Nathan Cleary, relatively low trade-in for Keddy and Big Tino there as well. In the trade-out section, all pretty straightforward here. Jazz Tavanga, Jackson Purdue, King Tonga, these guys have done their job. Guys like Tarpanay, Garrick, Aitken, sort of fringe keepers there as well, and some injured players too. So pretty straightforward in terms of the trade in, trade out. But if you scored over 722, you probably moved up the ranks this week. Now, jumping across, let's go into those top scorers for the round. I've got a good one here. Don't I have a good one? It's big bad Nico Hines. I've been talking about it, and here it is. And that call I made last week on buy, hold, sell that he might outscore Isaiah Katoa down the stretch, off to a pretty good start here. Now, the big thing I liked about Hines' performance here was he's running a bunch of crash balls, bunch of lines, and he was looking to take on the line. 130 plus run meters. You absolutely love that. I won't ramble on all night. Herbie Farnworth here cracked out another 80-point game, grabbed a try out of nothing in that game. Absolutely out of nothing. So Herbie Farnworth just proving that it doesn't matter what happens. He's going to pump out a big score. Jaden Sewer, big one. Adam Dewey played in the middle a bit as well, so played a bit of lock. We'll have a look at the position this week with potentially a reshuffle at the Tigers this round. Let's see what happens with Dewey there. Eli Katoa, 2 tries, 77 points. What a monster. The winner out of the edge back rows here. Loera grabbed 2 tries and 77. Marshall King, we talked about him as a bit of a pod last week. 76 points is big, and Brayley keeps up the form as well. Bradman Best, Tungo, and then we get to the 60s here with Hughes. Nathan Cleary, low minutes. Talk about him in a sec as well. Halasima with a big one, and Dane Gagai stepping into the fullback spot, as well as Tuapiki in that role too. Let's run into some games here, though, because I want to talk about those guys in more detail as we roll. Now, we'll start at the start at the end, start at the end, and we'll go to the Titans and the Broncos first. And for this game here, not a great day for fantasy at all. Best score here was a 57. Chris Randall, that 57 points. Had a nice little line break try assist there, but I see that sort of fading as Dave Fafita takes more and more minutes down the stretch. Bo Firma grabbed a 55. This is just a classic Bo Firma game here. So 36 tackles, 5 tackle breaks, 1 offload, and 130 meters gained. Had 4 missed tackles, but cracked out that 55 points. He's a great option this week for people who are selling Dylan Lucas, who is probably out for the season. Paddy Carrigan with a 54. Then Staggs had a big day for him as well. Joel Lurf, Reece Walsh grabbed a try in this one, 52 points. Looked really good in this game, actually. Reece Walsh looked much better. So he was flying here. Tolty, the 230K middle forward cash out, 52 points in 34 minutes here. You got the try there, but 5 tackle breaks, 100 plus meters run, 21 tackles made. Man, I wish it was Payne Haas playing that 34 minutes, eh? But look, Tolty absolutely killed it. I wouldn't chase the points on this one. I think leave this one to go. But if you did cash out to him, you've done a great job there. Jordan Ricky, big Tino. So Tino in about 50 minutes has scored about 50 points here. I think he's a great option for next week. He'll drop him cash a little bit and be around that sort of 620 to 630K marker. You get him then, and he should play pretty big minutes against the Tigers next week. And that theoretically should be a matchup that he can exploit with his size as well. So great option for next week, big Tino. Kobe Hetherington is going to fade as Haas comes back, so I wouldn't stress that one. Broncos have the bye next week too, so you're not targeting too many of these guys. Xavier Wilson, big-ish game. Jezewski, so Pierre Kura, HIA in this one. Jezewski definitely stepped up. Fafita, Reynolds, really quiet. Adam Reynolds, very, very quiet by his standards there. Fodawaker, Campbell Gillard, Billy Walters grabbed a try in this one. Shibasaki had a few moments where he nearly scored, but just other players grabbed it. Jaden Campbell, 32. Tough one to read here for Jaden Campbell. So he had that, that line break assist. No offloads here, only 2 tackle breaks. 100 plus meters run is pretty good. Kick meters are very low by his standards, so normally he has more like that sort of 400 to 500 there. So that was a bit dodgy for him. Just not a great game in terms of the Titans competing sets and playing regular footy. So it just wasn't Campbell's day. Wasn't super involved. A few negatives there as well. I would expect him to bounce back next week. I think this is just this is the floor for Jaden Campbell. It's very low kick meters there. I'm hoping that trend doesn't continue. Kieran Foran had 115, so Campbell's still dominant, but I think he'll come good next week. Again, that Tigers matchup. I think that's one that's going to open Campbell up. So if you don't have Campbell, I think he's a good buy next week. And if you do have him, you stick with him 100%. Sam Verrills picked up that HIA as well. So he's going to be out for a little bit. Marinette, Foreign, Sami, Brimson. Yeah, Brimson's just sort of cooled off here at fullback as well. Ben Hunt playing at the hooker role did not maintain that PPM. So we talked about this week a bit, him being a potential pot option. The history suggests that he's a 62 average when he plays big minutes at hooker. He scored a 22 in 54 minutes here. The big thing is 0 run meters, 0, and 0 tackle breaks, 0 offloads there, 4 missed tackles as well. So you've got not a lot going on there in terms of attacking play from Ben Hunt in a game that was very exploitable. I would say just based on this game, we pretty much rule out Ben Hunt as a potential option that we're looking at hooker. Saying that he probably grows into the role a bit, so I would expect him to show a bit more in attacking in coming weeks, but yeah, just not what you wanted to look for. And those last games we talked about, like 2020 was when he was playing hooker at club level consistently for a bit there. That's 5 years ago. He's a 35-year-old half. Middle defense is tough for the best of guys. So I think they'll use Ben Hunt a bit more sparingly down the stretch. Karapani had a big break in this one, got most of his points on that big bust, but 22 points is not what you want to see. He is very sellable right now. Jalen de Groot bombed a try that would have won the game. That's a brutal moment for him in an otherwise, pretty involved game. Kelly, Brian Kelly was down at about -6 after about half an hour. So 6 missed tackles, 5 errors, definitely will do that to you. But he never put his head down. So again, he's a guy who can flash. And if you're in a draft league and he becomes available, you could do it. Dave Fafita scored a 10 in 27 minutes here. Again, nearly had that try assist. Threw that ball to Jalen de Groot playing sort of a center role there at that point. For Dave Fafita, he's going to get nice and cheap and maybe get back into the starting team potentially at like 500K. So this is one of those ones where you want to try to hold a couple of trades for a guy like Dave Fafita if he gets really cheap, or a guy like Lockie Galvin if he takes a starting spot, or that sort of thing. So that's where I kind of advocate for not blowing through all of your trades if you can possibly hold off. So that's the Titans Broncos game there. Titans, very interesting. Jaden Campbell, Big Tino, relevant options. Broncos, you're not buying too many of those guys this week because they have the bye next week. Now, Parramatta and the Panthers up next. And for the Panthers here, Isaac Tungo, bit of a return to form here. So 69 points from him. Grabbed a try assist there. Look, a few of these plays were just Parramatta not really defending properly and them playing against a bottom 5 side, which burns me to say, wearing my Para jersey, but there were some shocking moments for defense for Parramatta in this one. So I wouldn't read into it too much, but if you're a Tungo owner, you're pretty stoked about that one. And if you do want to go cheap at center, he's a guy who has gone on hot runs in the past. I'm not going to recommend it, but you could do worse than a speculator on Isaac Tungo. And if you're in a draft league and he's available, you could do that too. Nathan Cleary played 51 minutes here, so came on after 30 minutes, which I thought was a pretty long rest at the start, especially since Parramatta were leading at that point. Grabbed a try in this one, had 4 tackle breaks, an offload there, forced turnover, 63 meters run, did a bunch of kicking there as well, and defensively was very solid. So for Nathan Cleary, 66 points in 51 minutes is exactly what the doctor ordered. I bought Nathan Cleary and captained him this week, knowing that there was a little bit of a chance that he might be on the bench, but just thinking that was kind of ridiculous if they would do that. They ended up doing it, and he ended up turning up and outscoring Terrell May. So a bit of luck there with the try, but that was kind of the kind of game I was expecting. I thought he would really throw some attack at this one, considering how hopelessly the Blues lost on Wednesday. I just thought, he'll rock up. He'll want to make a point here with some of his attack. So he did do that, but imagine if it was an 80-minute game, it would have been like 100+ points. So that's the one bit that burns a bit there. Then Charlie Geimer grabbed the 60. I'm not reading into this too much, but 54 tackles is definitely helpful. Had a few little plays that were nearly attacking plays too. Could potentially be an option we look at. Kidione Kautonga is dealing with an injury. So there was a blatant hip drop tackle. It wasn't called one during the game. I'm sure the match review will pick it up. But Geimer might pick up more minutes if Kautonga's out for a while. Alamotti should be in the team week in, week out, by the way. 53 points here. Isaiah Papali'i made a clean break at one point. Was looking fast, but yeah, again, look, the minutes just aren't consistent enough for him. Zach Lomax got a try in this one, but it's a tough one to buy a guy like him. Like Lomax's pedigree, 600K, it's a nice price point to target a guy. My worry is when you bring in too many guys from the bottom teams, you got to be really confident they're going to be stepping up down the stretch. And with Parramatta, I'm fairly certain it's going to be Mitch Moses and Josh Papali'i in the halves for the run home. We're going to see sort of varying combinations of Riley Smith and Talanta Silva. I think Para will be okay down the stretch. Like they'll be decent enough. But when you're a team that's not really fighting for a final spot, it just gets a little bit dodgy for fantasy players. If a guy picks up an injury, they often get a rest and they start planning for the future. So I personally wouldn't recommend buying Zach Lomax. And it's the caution I do have with Jaden Campbell a little bit. I just think Jaden Campbell is that 10 points better than Lomax that you can afford to take the risk on someone like him. Then down the list here, Lindsay Smith grabbed the try, but pretty mediocre score here. Jack Williams returned to earth, played a lot of the edge back row spot, as I talked about there with Kautonga out. Jenkins grabbed a try in 45. Schneider, very solid in small minutes. Yongi, Schneider, by the way, I think he played a bit of lock in this one too. And the tackle count definitely backs that up. 31 tackles there. Yongi, very solid in this game. So the 8 tackle breaks definitely helps. But yeah, just not a guy you're going to have for the run home. So I'd be selling him soon. Then Garner, Barlow, Zay Yo. Talk about Yo. Yo started in this game. He went off for a rest in this one. Played 54 minutes, scored 38 points. The PPM is okay. That PPM would attract for, close enough to 60 points for him. So he would have been fine if he played the 80 minutes. It's just smaller minutes coming off Origin. Wouldn't stress that. But he is going to be about 720K to 730K next week, and he's going to be a great option to bring into your team. Walker started this game, got a 37. Simonson came back, looked good in this one too. He'll have some big attacking days for sure. Russell, Kautonga only the 40 minutes there, and a nice line for that try, but I don't know, that hip drop probably is going to knock him out for a bit. Then Henry, Da Silva, 34 points in 51 minutes here, 32 tackles out of him. Got one offload, one tackle break, and 30 meters run. I think we're going to see more and more out of Talon Da Silva as the week goes on. Matt Dury was good in limited minutes, but just never gets the minutes, so I'm not really going to entertain it. Adokar, solid. Hawkins, Talangi, Laurie, Hopgood. Hopgood is such a fall from grace, man. Oh man, I remember at the start of this year thinking, oh yeah, I'll watch him at the start. I reckon he'll drop a bit of cash. He'll take a bit of time to wind up, and he'll get good. And then we'll bring him into our fantasy sides. And we had the game in round 12 where Parramatta were actually playing, and then Parramatta had bye in round 15 and round 18, major bye rounds. So around, in the early rounds, I was sort of thinking, oh yeah, I want to get him in time for round 12. That's really what I want him for. And he just never bounced back. And this stat line really communicates it. He played a lot of prop in this game too. 24 tackles, no tackle breaks, no offloads, 49 meters run, no attacking stats. A couple of penalties as well, but just sort of a nothing performance there. And I don't know, Hopgood's capable of a lot, especially for fantasy. So he's going to get cheap. He's averaging a 43 at this stage. It sort of seems to be dropping. He's a guy we'll look at next year, I would say. I don't think he's going to bounce back this year. I think it's going to be a conversation we have around next year. Then Leota Papali'i playing in that 6 jersey. For him, he's 230K, wing fullback. He will probably not get the half dual position just because of the number of games played. So that's probably going to hold him back. There's a small chance he might, though. If he plays there again next week and he's named for round 21, then I guess he does qualify the same way Herodi does. But there's a chance. But even then, wing fullback cash out, playing in the 6 jersey. He'll play next to Moses is most likely what I think is going to happen there, which means I think he'll get some chances in attack. So could be a nice cash out there. And then rolling down the list here, Kenny, 80 minutes, 21 points as a howler, mate. Eisenhuth, McLean, Tuavidi, Patea, Dylan Brown, played at hooker, 10 points here, ran for 5 meters. Just didn't really bring a lot to the hooker spot. I'll tell you what, though, a switched on Dylan Brown at hooker would actually be kind of interesting to see. But I don't think we've got that anymore from Dylan Brown. Warriors v Tigers. Now, the Wires got up in this one. Adam Dewey was the star of the show, though. 2 tries for him, a try saver. You got a try assist, 2 line breaks, a line break assist here, 7 tackle breaks, 124 meters run on the ground, and in defense, 18 tackles with 4 missed tackles and 1 forced turnover. So for Dewey, this is a great stat line. I don't think he's going to be fantasy relevant. I'm getting a lot of people asking me about Dewey, and it's a cracker of a score. And he's capable of massive scores. He's capable of a 60-plus average across the season if he played in the halves spot, 100%. The issue is this relies on him moving a bit to lock and, some big attacking plays and all that. And the Tigers, they lost this game 34-14. Should tell you a lot here, right? So I just don't really see it at the price he's going to be at. He'll be in sort of the mid-500s there. It's very expensive, and you can get a real keeper like Gus Crichton or, like Jaden Campbell or one of these types of guys into your team instead at a relatively similar price point and not have the risk of a guy who could potentially go back to averaging 35. So my view is it's probably a no on Dewey unless we get confirmation that he's going to play a different role going forward. Halasima, 80 minutes, 66 points. That is Halasima when he gets the 80 minutes. I just wish he would stop doing it this year so that he could start doing it next year. I want him to come in cheap next year so we can bring him in. But at this present moment, he's priced at a 39 for next year, which is worth bringing him in if he starts and plays 80 minutes next year. Tuapiki playing fullback, killed it, 223 meters run, 11 tackle breaks, got the try assist and the line break there. Nothing more to say. If he gets that fullback role at some point, he'll be fantastic. But Charles Clockstar is back in round 21, is my understanding. So not enough time. Ford, Aaron Clark here. So both 59 points here. Ford got a few more minutes there, but Aaron Clark, those minutes are sort of staying in a pretty good spot there. 59 minutes, that's pretty sweet for him. 120 meters run, 39 tackles. You got the try assist there, which boosted it up, but no tackle breaks and only one offload. So I think those things sort of even themselves out. And I think this is pretty much what you can expect from Aaron Clark on the run home. That sort of 60 odd average. Definitely a keeper. Do not sell him. He's crushing. Then Tanner Boyd stepped up here. And I did say during the week that Tanner Boyd is historically that 47 average at the Titans when he plays at halfback. If you think that the Warriors will be good enough that it boosts his average up by, let's say, 8 points, then he's a 55 average. Could be an option you look at. But it's a big ask to boost the average by 8 points there. So probably not someone I'm going to be really interested in. But if you're a desperate team with not a lot of money, I like Tanner Boyd more than I like Adam Dewey. That's probably the answer to that question. Terrell May, 55 points in 65 minutes. So the minutes coming down, the points coming down. No offloads in this game either. Got Titans next week, so you would think there's going to be a bit of a shootout and he's going to have more opportunities, but Titans have a pretty good forward pack on paper as well. They could rev up for that one. So I don't know. Terrell May, it's just a question of whether you want to keep captaining him. And I haven't liked the signs I've seen recently, which is why I went to Cleary as captain this week. Just sort of thought Terrell May was starting to cool off a bit. This minutes reduction, it has been 3 of the last 4 games where he has gone below 70 minutes. So we're going to have to look at this very closely this week and probably have a serious conversation about it. But I'm thinking Nathan Cleary versus the Bunnies this week is the better captain than Terrell May versus the Titans. And the following week, I'm probably going to jump back on Payne Haas. I think 2 weeks off here for him. He can settle down that back issue he had before. I think Payne Haas will be hot for the run home. That's how I see this. But the risk with Haas is Xavier Wilson's been so good as well. So maybe he eats more of those minutes. It's a lot of contention for all these captains. Then down the list, you'll speed up through this section. RTS, good game from him. Egan, solid as well. Not a lot of attack from him, unfortunately. Coruscant, she had some minutes there with hope. With Lesniak, we talked about him as a potential cash out. 44 points, 1 try, 2 line breaks, 6 tackle breaks, 153 meters run. Very solid attacking day for DWZ. Tony Suka, still only 41 meters run, so not a lot on the ground, but defensively he's got a great work rate on the edge. Harris Tavito grabbed 2 tries for 43 points, which is absolute stink. Do not buy him. And if you have him, definitely move him on. He's a much better player in real life than he is in fantasy. Seyfarth with a 42 in 37 minutes. Valmarga, solid as well. Fisher Harris, I'll tell you what, the dream is not alive for him. He has not done it at all since coming back. And I thought without Barnett, he might sort of rev up and play 55 minutes, score 55 odd points. Historically, he's been that PPM guy, but we've seen him really drop off. And the meters in particular, effectiveness on the ground, it has not been there for Fisher Harris. Samuel Afinu here with a 35, so a bit of a crash back to earth for him. Then down the list here, Jarrell Skelton grabbed a try, but too little too late. He's getting very cheap, though. Skelton might be an option we look at next year. Jerome Luai, yeah, this is a bit of a dud for him. 41 meters run. That's the big thing I'm looking for here. So when I'm thinking about Jerome Luai, I'm thinking, all right, did he run the ball? Like that's what I'm looking for. And 41 meters is not enough for Jerome Luai. You want it closer to 141 meters there. Because the thing is, when he runs the ball, it leads to tackle breaks. He only had 1 tackle break. It leads to offloads. He had no offloads, right? So when he's running the ball, he's creating those plays, and you boost his score by 20, 30 points when he does that. Unfortunately for this game here, just not enough of that. Did a bit of kicking here, had the try assist, but yeah, Jerome Luai, it's a tough one because I can sit here and sort of say he's playing the wrong style of footy for his abilities, but I'm basing all that off his form at the Panthers, and the Tigers are trying to build something as well, and they've had a curveball. Latu Finu's in there now, so I think they'll build something. And I think Luai is going to be an option we look at next year because he's going to come into next year priced around that 35, unless he really boosts his average down the stretch. So I think this year he's kind of written off, but next year is interesting for Jerome Luai. Alex Twile played less minutes there, so Dewey obviously shifted to the middle a bit here too. Pole, Latu Finu. So Latu Finu, 48 meters, 140 kick meters here. 1 offload, 1 tackle break. Just no attacking plays from him. And this is sort of what Latu Finu is going to do, right? So he's going to score those, 20s kind of scores, maybe 20 to 29. And then he's going to have those big attacking plays, and they're going to boost it up to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 kind of thing when he has those days. But his average down the stretch is not going to be massive. So probably not a guy you want to rely on as a weekly scorer. But definitely one you can think about using in a loophole or something like that against the Titans next week. I think they play pretty late though, so he might need to be a backup in that loophole. Taruva playing fullback. I had a theory that he might be better at fullback for fantasy. It's not been true whatsoever. So let's put that one on the scrap bin. Tamari Martin played bigger minutes here too. Yeah, Corey, Toa, Pompey, yeah, look, Staines, Stower Smith, Jack Bird. 18 points. That's brutal for you guys who bought Jack Bird. Rocco Berry grabbed a try, but went off early. Hope, 18 minutes, 13 points. Great PPM from Hope, but just not the minutes there. Then Finu, Laban, Mason. Yeah, look, not enough minutes down the bottom there, so no one really worth talking about. And really, we're looking at the top guns and we're looking at the cheapies. So let's focus up here because I love sort of dawdling around and moving around different players and talk about draft options and next year's options as well. In fact, I'm going to keep talking about next year's options. I think it's more fun to talk about that, but we'll focus on the guns here. Now, Tommy Dearden is actually, funnily enough, a vaguely interesting option if you want a super pod for the run home, and one that I like quite a bit here. So for Tommy Dearden, they have the buy in round 27. That's not ideal. You got to keep an eye on that. If you have Scott Drinkwater already, you're probably not enjoying that buy. But for Tommy Dearden, 28 tackles here, 3 tackle breaks, 3 missed tackles, no offloads, 1 error, 158 run meters, and you got all the kick meters here too. He had Purdue as his halves partner. So I guess this take from me is probably contingent on Purdue being his halves partner going forward. I'm not sure about the severity of Clifford's calf issue, but if that was the case, I'd be pretty intrigued because I think Tom Dearden's sort of flying high right now. He's on top of the world and he could have a really hot run home. So at that price, it's not completely ridiculous. So keep an eye on that situation. We'll mention him in pods if it's relevant. If not, we won't mention him. I would say Clifford, my guess is Clifford's probably not long term enough for this to be relevant. Braden Burns, if you're in a draft league, he's always available. 200 meters run, 11 tackle breaks, red hot. Laybut, this is a big day for Laybut. He had a few shocker plays and some absolute gold plays as well. 140 meters run, 8 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, and a try. Definitely helps there. Jacob Preston saved his day with a try, 56 points, although it would have been like 48 if he hadn't grabbed that try. Look, 40 tackles, 108 run meters here, just no offloads, 1 tackle break. That's sort of the base that you're missing there. So I'm not freaking out about this one. I know a lot of people are really stressing about Jacob Preston because he scored poorly last week. I don't think we need to. I think the Dogs been a bit clunky the last couple of weeks. I think they'll come good. I think Preston will heat up as well. I think he benefits from Crichton being in the team too. Then Reed Marnie, 55 points. When he gets to 80 minutes, he's a machine. I hope he can stay a bit cheaper than this, though, because next year at the Cowboys, I'll be buying him 100%. Matty Burton had a bit of a stint in the HIA bin there, but great run meters, great kick meters here. Very solid performance. You stick with him if you do have him in your team. Max King, not the minutes you want, but a good score. Cohen Hess has been in some decent form recently for fantasy as well. Josh Curran, better game from him. Thomas McKaylee. This is infuriating. This is infuriating because I remember last year preseason we were pumping him up as that PPM machine. Just he needed 30 minutes a game, and he's come out the last 2 weeks and scored like 45 in 25 minutes. Just absurd. 7 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 100 meters run in 26 minutes, 16 tackles, no misses. Anyway, look, I'm not gonna ramble on about Thomas McKaylee, but just a funny little fantasy enigma. Griffin Neem, solid game, 70 minutes from him. Nanai with a 43 and 80 minutes kick out. Bit of a crash back to earth. He went off pretty gassed, pretty tired, and came back on. I think he's all good injury-wise, so I don't think you have to worry about anything there if you do own him. Reese Robson, very quiet, not really on my radar. Talangi, Cotter, Tuala. Tuala was better than expected, actually. Made that line break, set up that try. 182 meters run is pretty solid here, too. Not certain he keeps that role, but if you did cash out to him, you're pretty happy. Jacob Krause with a 36. I'm not a Krause owner. I wouldn't freak out about this though. 200 meters run is good. 3 offloads is okay. 6 tackle breaks is sort of where he sits. No attacking stats. You've got a guy who plays wing in a team that's at the top of the table where he was missing his inside player in the center, Stephen Crichton, and he had no attacking stats. He scored 36. I wouldn't be freaking out. I think you just got to roll with that, cop that low score. If it becomes a trend, it becomes a trend, but I don't think it will. Then Connor Tracy, solid. Hayes, Drinkwater. Got to talk about Drinkwater 100%. So for Drinky, had that line break. It was a nice play, but other than that, very light for attacking stats here. 4 errors definitely doesn't help. 6 tackle breaks, 141 meters run. Not a lot of kicking in this game. Really deferred to Tom Dearden in that role. For Drinky, this was a pretty frustrating game as Nona. Again, I'm not freaking out. It's the Dogs, right? So I sort of penciled him in for a bit of a lower score. This is probably on the higher end of what I had projected for him. I sort of thought 25 to 35. He went at the top end of that, but I'll hold on to him. My plan is that he's in my final roster, but he's not a starter. That's kind of my plan for Scott Drinkwater. So we'll see how that pans out. Obviously the injury to Dylan Lucas probably hurts that plan a little bit. But we'll see how that pans out. He's a guy, though, I'm pretty happy to play when he has a decent fixture. As long as he's not playing those top 4 sides, Scott Drinkwater can usually turn up and put up a pretty good score. Hayward, 9 missed tackles is gonna kill your score no matter what. Jackson Purdue, just really not involved lately. 33 points here. Derby, Rinakama, actually, he was pretty awesome, and he came off late in this game because they wanted to do a reshuffle and bring a bunch of guys on. But I thought Rinakama was really good. If he gets a roll at some point, he's going to be very interesting. So nearly 200 meters run here. Grab the try there as well. 5 errors. He's a rookie winger. It's going to happen. Don't crucify guys for that. But at some point, I think Renakama is going to be a first grader, and we better be ready to bring him in at that point. Then we got Edwards, Sexton, Zeri. He's really quiet. Hughes, Moran, McLean, Salmon, Lawton, and O'Donnell. Yeah, look, no one you're really playing in your fantasy side there. If you are in trouble. You're in real trouble. Now, Dragons v Roosters. So for the Dragons and the Roosters, crack of a game, but the Roosters got up in this one. Dragons won the fantasy leaderboard, at least the top 2 spots, and it goes chook, 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 chook. Wow, nine Roosters in a row. It sounds like a bit of a sick chicken when I pull that out. But Jaden Sewer grabbed that 80-point game, grabbed a try and a try assist in this one, nearly 200 meters run. Jaden Sewer can do this. He's not going to do it every week, but he can do this any given week. So if you were desperate for a cheaper back rower, and you believe in the Dragons, there's a couple of ifs there, right? You could take a look at Sewer. I think he's too close in price to Gus Crichton. I'd personally just go Gus Crichton. But if you were desperate, I'm not totally against the Sewer pod. Every now and then he goes on a hot run. This could be one of them. Jack DeBellin, bigger minutes for him, bigger score. Not in my fantasy radar. He's leaving the club at the end of the year. They're a team that will fall out of touch with the top 8, I expect. So I think DeBellin's minutes going to be a bit hit and miss. And the fact that Hamish Stewart played such low minutes this game makes me think that will probably start to reverse a bit as we go down the stretch. Fahu White, 53 minutes is sort of what I expect for him, but 58 points, very strong PPM. Big thing here is 3 forced turnovers. Not going to have those every week. That sort of bumps the score up by, let's call it 12, maybe 8 points if you factor in 1 forced turnover a game. So that 8 points is, moving him from 50 to 58, right? And that 50 and 50 is kind of what I expect for him. Jimmy Tedesco, 57 points here. Was really quiet, and sort of bailed out late by some big attacking plays, but that's part of Tedesco's profile, so you can't really complain too much. 200 meters run here, 11 tackle breaks, 2 offloads. You got the try assist there as well, 2 line break assists. He was very involved, just didn't have those big attacking plays and still got a 57, so you can live with that. Dan Supo, 2 tries, 3 line breaks, 57 points, nothing to talk about there. Connor Watson, 55 here. Got a rest at the end. Came off for Zach Docker-Clay, who came on for the last 5 minutes. Probably just backing up from Origin, I guess. I'm not sure. Maybe they just wanted to give Docker-Clay a run. I think 75 minutes is fine for Connor Watson. 46 tackles here. 1 miss, only 2 tackle breaks there. 55 meters run. So it's a 55 here with no offloads and no attacking plays. I'm good with that. I'm totally fine with that. Connor Watson has enough attacking plays that if he's scoring me 55 in the weeks where he doesn't pop off, we're cool. We're absolutely cool. Rob Toya at 55. Toya's actually been looking really strong as well, like strong through contact recently. I think Origin's really sort of beefed up his chest a bit. He's standing a bit taller now. So Robbie Toya, if you got him in your team still somehow, I'd probably hang on to him, just see how it goes. Victor Radley came back, grabbed a try in this one. Beautiful pass from Tedesco to feed him. 54 points in lower minutes here. Fichetti got the 80-minute roll, scored us a 54 as well. 40 tackles, 2 tackle breaks, 1 offload, a turnover, and 81 meters run. Nothing unreplicatable for Fichetti here. That's the best thing about this. Like this stat line here for a 54 is pretty cruisy, and he nearly had a few attacking plays as well. He was involved in the right plays, but just hasn't quite come off for him. So if Fichetti can manage to keep that role a bit longer, depends on Saw Wong's timetable because Wong is due back very soon. But Fiketti is a borderline starter or a guy that you could put on the edge of your bench at least if you're desperate through this period until he loses that spot to Suo Wong. Once Wong comes back, even if Wong's coming off the bench, Fiketti becomes pretty much fantasy irrelevant and we look to cash him out. But until then, he's making cash. So, hey, ride the wave. Gus Crichton with a 53 here, 37 tackles, 146 run meters, 4 tackle breaks, and basically nothing else there. So, again, a 53, no attacking plays, no offloads. I'm good with that. Billy Smith with a 51, Clemmer, and into the 40s here. So, Clemmer with a 48, Holmes, Savala, Finau, all in the 40s there as well. Savala did pick up a little bit of an injury looking thing at the end of the game. We'll keep an eye on that, but Savala's probably one that we want to sell pretty soon. His scoring really did get a boost when Sam Walker went off in this game for about 10 minutes there. So I think Savala is going to drop back into the 30s with Sam Walker as his halves partner. So that's probably going to be something we're going to deal with next week. For now, Cook, good minutes here. 64 minutes is fine, but the 34 points, just disaster PPM here. 5 missed tackles, so minus 10 points there. No offloads, no attacking plays, only 44 meters run. Bit of a crash back to earth. Definitely a sell this week. Luciano Leilua played the 80 minutes. Sully, Lenu, Flanagan. Yeah, Flanagan sort of cooled off in this one. Had some pretty good fantasy scores recently. Emre Gula, quiet as well. Collins, Sam Walker, not fantasy relevant whatsoever right now. Sam Walker had a try assist and a field goal and 4 goals in this game and still only managed a 31. I think he'll grow into it, but I don't see him being keeper or starter worthy for your team. Egan Butcher grabbed the 30. Noani Tuase grabbed the 29. Sort of the lower end of what he can do. You got 3 tackle breaks and 2 offloads there with 115 meters run, but yeah, just not ideal if you're a Noani Tuase buyer this week. I mean, if you bought him last week, you got the big 80 plus score, and you got the 29. You kind of balance out to like a 55 to 60 average, and you can't complain too much. But if you bought this week, you kind of followed the points. Probably shouldn't have done that. Right? It's a lesson. You know, it's an expensive lesson, but it's a lesson there. King Tongia, 26, Little, 25. By the way, I don't mean to be condescending if you did. Look, maybe you just like Noni Tuase. And if you do like him, by the way, just stick with him down the stretch and just ride the waves of variability in his scoring. And don't worry too much about week to week fluctuations because he is sort of that fringe keeper bracket, especially now that we need a center as well. Probably Bo Firma and Herbie Farnworth are still the top 2, but it does elevate Noani Tuase and Karaz into that conversation as well. Like Steep, Molo, Sloan, Gutherson. Man, Gutherson really quiet here. Hamish Stewart only 21 minutes sort of surprised me. I thought he might get a few more. And then Docker Clay got that 5 minutes at the end. 10 points. That could have been Connor Watson's 10 points, but it wasn't. Damn it. Would have been a nice 65 for Connor Watson. Now, Knights v Storm. Knights looked like they were going to win this at times, but second half rolled around and they sort of stopped defending, and the Storm players racked up massive points here. El Katoa, 77, 2 tries, a line break, 35 tackles, 183 run meters here. Down the stretch, when this game was all over, he just ran all over the Knights. Like he was looking pretty quiet at about 30-minute mark, similar to Jacob Preston, except Katoa got that second try. And we had a few guys this week that have done this, and he started really quiet, scored that try around the 30th minute, and then got that try late as well, where Newcastle just, I don't know what they were doing, but Eli Katoa was too strong, too powerful, and burst over. And he's going to grab a bunch of these attacking plays. Like I've seen people getting angry about, Eli Katoa getting lucky and that kind of thing. It's not luck. This is what Eli Katoa is going to do down the stretch. There's going to be games where he doesn't do it and he scores you 30. But there's going to be enough games like this that he does do it and the Storm are just too hot that I think he's going to have a pretty nice average down the stretch. So 56.4 is his current average. I could see that increasing as we run home as well. So if you're an Eli Katoa owner, he is a keeper. Ride that wave. If you don't have him, I don't think he's worth the extra money compared to a Gus Crichton or someone like that. Trent Learo grabbed 2 tries, still not on my fantasy radar, so probably a no. Bradman Best, 70 points here, 200 meters run, 10 tackle breaks, a line break. 70 with no tries is very interesting here. So the fact that they have no Kalen Ponga and no Fletcher Sharp meant they were feeding Best a bit more ball. In a game that they lost against the Storm, who were pretty good, more than pretty good, right? You could take that 70 points there and think, you know what, if you want a pod at center, I wish he was a bit cheaper. But 600K there. He's going to bump up, into the low 600s. Very injury prone as well. Newcastle are a team that is sort of falling off the boiler a bit too. Dylan Lucas is now out for the year. It's stacking up against Bradman Best too much. I'm probably going to say no, but there is a world where he heats up at the right time and you pot up. Now, Jerome Hughes, 67 points here, 4 try assists for Jerome Hughes, 120 meters run as well. Look, all the signs are positive here. He's dominating the kicking too. Played next to Wishart, where he dominates for fantasy. So if you're a Jerome Hughes owner, keep him in your team until he scores below 50, and then have a think about it at that point. But until he goes below 50, just assume he's a keeper. Like ride that wave, ride the hot hand. Dane Gagai went to fullback, scored 65, 250 meters run, 6 tackle breaks, 2 offloads as well. You got a few attacking plays in here too, like a line break and a try assist. Gagai, another pod, another pod. But does he keep that fullback spot long term? Bit of an older guy. They might want to play him for the future. I don't know if he does. I think it's a bit too unstable for me, and the price is not quite cheap enough to justify the risk. So I'm going to say no. But again, Gagai is a pod. At play, if he plays fullback for the rest of the year, he averages 50 plus 100%. So if you're confident that happens, then bring him in. Kai Pierce-Paul grabbed a 61 here, so 48 tackles, no tackle breaks, but 3 offloads, 75 meters run. Not heaps of ball for him. Bit of a slow start. Sort of heated up down the stretch. Just very strong defensive work rate's the big thing here. And the offloads, if they can keep coming, which I think they will, Pierce-Paul could be that keeper as well. So I'm keeping him. Then Dom Young, very different scorer, by the way. So when you look at Pierce-Paul versus Eli Katoa, Pierce-Paul, I think he scored 1 try this year compared to Eli Katoa's, 2 this week. So they're very different scorers. Pierce-Paul's going to have that solid base, whereas Eli Katoa's going to have those big attacking games. Jacob Preston is sort of somewhere in between, probably a bit more on the Eli Katoa side of things. Gus Crichton's a bit more on the Pierce-Paul side of things. So, different guys score in different ways. For Pierce-Paul, you're not going to have those big explosions most of the time, but I like this sort of stability from him. Dom Young grabbed 2 tries and 58, not fantasy relevant. His best ever year was like a 40 average, so not for me. At the Knights, by the way, that best ever year. Jackson Hastings, solid, again, a draft league special if he's in the free agents there. Nick Meaney scored a 51 when he plays at fullback. He's great. When he doesn't, he's not. Toa Kamanu with a 47 here, played bigger minutes, just not quite a keeper. Dylan Lucas, he is gone for the year, is what I've heard. So I think it's like a Liz Frank, like foot injury. Terrible news because I'm a big Dylan Lucas fan. I was on a few posts sort of commenting that Dylan Lucas should be in the Origin conversation next year. But he's done skis for the year. So, look, he'll come back bigger and better next year. And Newcastle will probably bring in Thomas Kent into that spot, I would expect. Harry Grant with a 40 here. Not a big minute game for him. So I wouldn't overread into this one. If you're a Grant owner, the 40 is not nice, but the 63 minutes is low and no tackle breaks, no offloads. That will turn around. He nearly scored a try in this one. I think he's going to heat up, but he's not in my side, and I'm not buying him until he heats up. I've had enough of having faith in Harry Grant. Jacob Safidi with a 38 here. Howarth a 38 as well. Very solid 200 meters run, 5 tackle breaks. You'll love to see that. Phoenix Crossland back to hooker, so lower scores here. Cogger with a 37. Thompson, King, Blore, Kane Bradley grabbed 2 tries and a 34. Anderson, Wishart, really quiet here from Wishart. Jaden Brayley played pretty big minutes actually off the bench. So 50 minutes, only 30 points there. Good defensive work rate. Probably a sell next week or the week after. He'll have made his cash by then. Joe Chan played at center. Very solid actually against Bradman Best. Even though the stat line isn't that impressive, I thought he really held his own. McEwen, Frizzell, Lasardi. Yeah, look, Fletcher Hunt. We'll talk about him. He grabbed that try. Played at the center spot. So Dan Gago went to fullback. 66 meters run isn't ideal, but he's playing on that edge next to Dom Young. So there's plenty of ball coming through. Plenty of attacking plays going on. If you cashed out to him, he's going to have a few fluke games where he goes big, I would expect. Like maybe 2 games where he's loopable. So he's probably not a guy I'd prioritize looping because he's not a great fantasy producer, but he's a good player in real life, and he'll have a couple of games where he grabs a few tries, I expect. Then Croker, Sophie Solomona, Kamitha Mitha, Mazu, really quiet, was limping a lot in this game. So if you have him, definitely sell him. Jones and Pezzett both gone as well. Now, rolling through to Sharks v Dolphins. Last game of the round, then I'll go through a bit of a recap of what I'm planning for next week. So Sharkies, we got to do it again. It's Nico Hines' season. I love this one. I'm so relieved that Nico Hines has had that game because I just needed a couple of boom games out of Nico. So that's the first one. And he's capable of this down the stretch. Now, would I buy him if I didn't have him? Probably not, unless you really look at the fixtures and you think Cronulla tear up. But I did love the way he played, and I did watch the replay as well, and just he was super slick. Like he was hitting holes hard, he was running hard. 134 meters run. That's the indicator I'm looking for Nico Hines. So my team has Nico Hines and Cam Munster in my final 17, and I could make moves and shuffle around and upgrade those spots to better options, but I just reckon down the stretch, they both have that massive nuclear potential. There's ball running, premium attacking halves. Those two and Nathan Cleary. I love that as a trio. So personally, I'm running the Hines strategy, but I would say the safer option is if you've got Fogarty, definitely don't sell Fogarty to Hines. It's probably not worth doing. If you've got Isaiah Katoa, he's still the best guy. I'm just riding the wave with Hines. So if you're a Hines owner, I don't think he's worth selling. And I said this last week. I don't think he was on. It was number one in our holds list. He's not worth selling to someone like Isaiah Katoa or Jamar Fogarty. I think they're just too close. But the Hines does represent a bit of value here. Herbie Farmworth grabbed the try. I thought he might struggle a bit more in attack in this game with them missing so much of that edge. So Bostock's out, Caden Nikarima's out, but he found a way to get it done anyway. 256 meters run, had 7 tackle breaks. This is crazy. 5 offloads here. Had the try. That try he scored was out of nothing. It was a hit up. It was a hit up, and he just sort of burst through and broke like 5 tackles and sort of passed the ball away and then got it back and grabbed that try. So it was a pretty crazy play. I still do think we should moderate expectations on Herbie down the stretch. But I mean, what is that moderation, right? So he's averaging 65. I'm probably saying, oh, I don't know. Does he average below 60? If you don't have him, it's too hard to do. Like, I'm a Herbie owner, right? So it's hard for me to empathize. But if you don't have him and he's 900K next week, can you justify spending 900K on him? Can you afford not to have him? These are the big questions you have to answer for yourself a little bit here. Like, he's in unprecedented territory. There is nothing that I can tell you about centers that average 65 because they don't exist. They don't exist. There's no one who does it. There's barely been anyone who's done it at fullback, let alone at center. What he's doing is totally unprecedented. So I'll look into it more this year, and I'll sort of look at we'll do some graphics on his sort of stat trajectory. But right now, like the 200 meters running, the offloads, the tackle breaks, like it's all replicatable. 2 forced turnovers definitely helps, but Dolphins are looking good. He's a good option. If I was buying though, I'd probably buy Bo Firma over Herbie Farmworth and just save the money. That's kind of how I see it. Save 200K. You can use that 200K elsewhere. But Herbie is without a doubt the best center in fantasy. Marshall King, bounce back from him, 65 tackles. That's big. 65 tackles and 3 forced turnovers. That's 77 points in defensive plays. He ended on a 76, right? So big defensive day from him. Blake Braley, a bit more of a well-rounded game from him. So got a 76 here, 2 try assists. You've got the 45 tackles there, tackle breaks and offload, 100 meters plus run as well. So for Blake Braley, you're pretty happy with him. If you got him in your team, just keep riding this wave. He's looking very good recently. Nakora at 61, solid game from him. Grabbed a few attacking stats there. Raymond with a 50 with the try. Isaiah Katoa grabbed the 51. 51 with no attacking plays there. No tackle breaks, no offloads. 100 plus meters run. Still did his work. I wouldn't freak out. I think he bounces back. He's really showing us his floor is 51. Yeah, like he's not going below 40 basically ever. So you got Isaiah Katoa. You're stoked. Don't stress about that one at all. Matt Feeney with a 50. McInnes, the 47 in 46 minutes, so slightly lower minutes for him. Wilton with a 46. Donahue grabbed a 45, 52 tackles, but 45 points. Sort of seeing a bit of a fall off here in his attacking production recently. Josh Kerr, a 42. Around that 40 mark, we got Mulatalo, Kennedy, bit of a bounce back, nice and cheap. Finafuyaki, Keeley, Rudolph, Katoa, Avrillo, Talakai grabbed the 38. Molo, Kafusi, and then down in the lower 30s here, Asako, Sean O'Sullivan, interesting one here. So O'Sullivan, 158 kick meters. That's a lot higher than what Cody Nicarima was doing, but it's lower than what he did in round 1 next to Isaiah Katoa. So I would say he's not going to reduce Isaiah Katoa's kick meters by too much here. Like it's a slight drop, maybe a 2-point hit to Isaiah Katoa, so slightly less than expected last week. I think I'm going to moderate that reduction there. Tawa here, so available at center, mostly plays prop. Funny one there. Hopefully he gets still position. 33 tackles from him, 34 points. Adam Fanua Blake, really quiet, back-to-back games with no tackle breaks and no offloads. He needs some of those big attacking plays. That's the thing. Like 25 tackles, 128 run meters is usually enough for him to do something because that's 37. You normally add some plays on top of that. You can get to 50. I just hasn't had those plays in the last couple of weeks. I'm going to stick with him, but it's more a necessity than anything. I just don't have trades to be selling guys like Fanua Blake, Ray Stone, solid here, Colhoun, Fahu, Trindle, Lemuelu, Burns, Hamanuele, and Nichols. So, yeah, look, that's the Sharks team there. A bit of a hit and miss sort of game there. But in terms of plans for next week, so let's see. Yeah, I got that 790 this week, but let's see. So I'm For my team, just to give you guys a look, if the rest of the season is 17 players. So you're starting 13, you've got 4 guys on your bench, 4 non-scorers in emergency. So for my side, I'm gonna have to replace Dylan Lucas. The back three is reasonably good. I probably want to bring in a wing fullback as well. Halves, Cleary, Munster, Hines. I feel good with. Pierce, Paul, and Preston. I like. Payne Haas, Terrell May, Connor Watson. I really like here as well. And then we got Fanua Blake, Kalamatangi, Tarpanay as those middle forward options. Tarpanay is one that I may end up keeping as well. So this average is 57.3. Bit of a drop off recently. I might hold on. They've got a good run of fixtures coming up. Maybe it's more hope than anything. I'm just thinking that he could easily bounce back. They've had the week off, had a couple of injuries recently. I think he should be solid coming back. So again, out of necessity, I might keep him. What I'm thinking is, I've got Talon De Silva as a cash out already. Probably looking to move for Keddy at some point relatively soon. I'm open to maybe selling Tarpanay, but not desperate to do it. Could potentially sell Drinkwater, but again, not desperate to. Lucas will definitely go from my team. Savala, 100% leaving my side. Latu Fino, if he gets the right price, could consider it. Turbo, probably not. I think he's going to get dual position for center. So I'll try to keep him. But I've got a few guys I can move on here. And I know I've already got Kles here, Haas. I'm probably looking at bringing in like Isaiah Yo, Big Tino here as well. Might look towards Bo Firma at the center spot potentially, or potentially go Jacob Carraz at that spot instead. At wing fullback, I want to think about Latrell as well. So I'm just going to find a way to get to these guys, and it's going to be opportunity cost. I'm going to have to choose between certain players. Like you can't bring them all in, and where I'm leaning is maybe I don't know. I don't want to miss out on Latrell. So anyway, that's looking forward to next week. So next week we're going to be doing some big content around trades. It's going to be 4 trades for a lot of teams. You get 8 new trades next week. So a lot of people are going to burn through 4. I'm going to try and only use 3. Yeah, probably 3. Probably 3, I would say. Really, you just want to build that perfect 17. If Faketi is in and Wong is not playing, I might keep him as a starter in my 17 next week, though. Anyway, guys, that's my week done and dusted. Hopefully, your week was good too. Bit of a mixed bag, so don't feel bad if it was down. I've been up and down all season. It's been all over the place. My rank now is 1,700, so a bit outside the top 1,000 for me, but it's been inside the top 1,000. It's been outside the top 3,000. It's been all over the place. So yeah, don't get too disheartened if it goes badly, and just use those trades wisely this week. Cheers, guys.